Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 97 of the Seezus Show. Back, new week means there's a brand new episode coming to you guys shortly. But before we get into anything, obviously, I want you guys to show some love, show some support, spread that love, spread that support, and make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at Sir Seezus, The Seezus Show, and Trade Day XXIV. Now, before we get into this week's topic with our co-host Trade Day XXIV, I want to go back and rehash on the previous episode if you missed that, which was episode 96, where me and my co-host Trade Day XXIV discussed NBA free agency, the transaction report, because it's been a crazy free agent frenzy. So I was definitely excited, along with Trade Day XXIV, to discuss all the major deals that have been done. And obviously, there's a big one that we're going to talk about shortly. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for my boy, for my co-host, Trade Day XXIV. What to do?
What's up, everybody? You already know it's Trey Day all day, already here in the spot to be, surrounded by family, surrounded by friends, surrounded by some love on this episode, man. Ready to get into what episode 97 holds for us, man. What's good, Seezus?
I'm good, man. We're about to reach another milestone. We're slowly getting to episode 100. So
It's
who
crazy.
knows? Maybe we'll get to it, by New Year's or before New Year's. But we're on track too. I hope you've
It's
been doing
crazy.
well because I've been doing well. And like I said off air, I'm gonna be back on the East Coast from I think the 18th to about the 30th. So I'm pretty excited for that. Hopefully we can link up. And make it a top priority that we link up and catch up. So
It's a must.
excited
It's a
for that
must.
as well too.
It's a must.
For
What we
sure,
talking
for
about? What we
sure.
starting off with?
We talking about a lot of things. So what I was telling the audience was, last episode was primarily focused on the transaction report. So a lot of free agency slash trade movements that have been taking place as well too. And obviously, the preseason is about to start and the season is about to start December 22nd. So we thought that that was it, but obviously Adrian Woj kind of hit us with that final spear bomb. I'm just like, oh
Boom.
my God, what the heck? So for
Madison,
those of
right.
you guys who don't know, I'm pretty sure everyone knows now, but Russell Westbrook got traded for John Wall in the future first round pick.
Yep.
And it's a little crazy because of what I was telling you a little off air as well, too, is like, damn, obviously with the organization from the top down, they kind of came out and said, "Hey, we're not going to trade John Wall. Our interest is to build around John Wall and see if him and Bradley Beal can coexist." This trade rumor is all fake news. You got John Wall in the media. They're asking him questions about everything that's going on. He's saying no comment, ducking. Obviously, Russell Westbrook has made it well known and kind of brought it into our face that he kind of wants to rock because he doesn't want to play with James Harden as much as he has a lot of left for him as well too. So it's just kind of crazy seeing how things have turned because looking back at it, I was like, damn, well, they're probably just gonna have to take this L, play together because you're looking at some teams, and I'm sure Russell Westbrook wants to be that point guard and have the ball in his hands at the same time, but he kind of probably wants to go somewhere that's competitive. So he listed some places that he wanted to go to, and I kind of broke it down. I was like, who's going to take on that $40 million contract? What are you going to get in return? So I
Yeah.
thought about the Knicks. I mean, obviously the Wizards was a match, and obviously Detroit Pistons were the viable options that I thought. And then here we go. A couple weeks later, both GMs said they haven't really spoken with each other in a while, and then one day out of nowhere they want to speak with each other, and the trade happened. But that kind of
Then
made the
boom.
most sense because they're essentially the same player in a way, and their contracts match up neck and neck. So it made the most sense. But and the whole thing I'm thinking about is like, where is loyalty at? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they say one thing and then they mean another. So it's like, was as far as players go, I feel like they shouldn't even be shocked anymore, as well too. But what are your thoughts on loyalty, and the trade and whatnot?
I think from a loyalty standpoint, we've seen it kind of just trickle down like the ladder. So at first it was like, is the franchise loyal to the player? And after that, the players kind of came in power, requesting trades, different things like that. But now we're seeing more of a coworker to coworker kind of thing. It's not boss organization, it's not company you work with. It's when we used to have like the politically correct, yeah, he was a good teammate, or maybe it wasn't for me. Now we're kind of seeing the media, with the ever-present media in a way. Yo, this person doesn't like this person. This person says he wants out. You know, you mentioned you blurb that's just one person, and then boom, the whole world has it, and then your organization is in a totally different space. So I think right now, as far as loyalty, it's a very very thin line. It's a very very thin line between blood and water, water, oil, stuff like that. Um, and you're really just trying to do what's best for you for as far as the entity, whether it be you as a businessman, being a player, you as a agency, or you as a coaching staff, so on and so forth. So loyalty is not at the forefront of today's league.
Yeah. Nah, I have to agree with you on that as well too. I guess the biggest thing is like I just owners need to be held accountable just to be a little bit more transparent with players, I think.
Hmm.
I mean, if you're gonna ship them out, that's the least you can do. And then obviously from the players' perspective, with COVID going on and everything and whatnot, they kind of want some form of normalcy and routine. And to basically pack up everything you're doing and find a spot. And like I said, the fact that training camp has already been going on, you're kind of a little bit behind. It kind of sucks, but
Hmm.
things like this happen all the time. So it is what it is as well too. So my next question or subtopic for you as well is, who do you think won the trade? Because you're looking at both aspects of it as well too. We haven't seen John Wall play since I think the day after Christmas of 2018. Obviously, Russell Westbrook has came off of one of his most efficient seasons as well too. But when I think about it, to be real with you, I think the Washington Wizards won this trade for one. Like I just said, Russell Westbrook hasn't. I mean, John Wall hasn't played in such a long time, so
Hmm.
you're kind of have the mindset he's been on Achilles injury. We don't really know what to expect out of him, but we know what we get out of Russell Westbrook. So you obviously already marginally make the Washington Wizards better now. But what are your thoughts? Who do you think won the trade if everything is set in stone? So when I say that, there's no
Teams are
player
what the teams are.
movement. Yes, exactly.
Okay. I agree with you. I think Washington won the trade. Overall, I think is a new look. It's the first time in maybe a decade getting a superstar that they didn't draft for. Um, for somebody they can get acquire and trade, acquire, in a kind of quote unquote free agency before the trade deadline. So this is their first like big move in a way. It kind of seems like an exchange, equal for equal in a way. They did
Hmm.
trade John and a first round pick, but I would have to say Washington wins. Russell is a super efficient. He's the guy that can will a team to the playoffs by himself, but he also have an emerging Bradley Bill that, for all intents and purposes, um, I don't think he has to have the ball in his hand to be super efficient, but they're in a league where there are the duos, there are the systems they have to work for. So I think, yeah, as long as they implement them the right way, they can be very successful with both of those guys on their team as well as the young talent. Um, and that's going as far as saying, or that doesn't dismiss the fact that overall I think the Houston Rockets would be a better team in some aspects. I think in a lot of ways John Wall is a little bit better of a passer. He can get his stuff going, but some of those highlights you saw coming down the stretch with the Washington team, him dishing it to the big man, him getting the ball out, stuff like that. I think if John Wall is at his healthiest and at his most efficient, the Houston Rockets are going to be better than we expected them to be. But as far as the overall winner of the trade, I'd have to go with Washington for right now.
For right now, right? And
Yep,
and
yep.
and to kind of stick on John Wall, like I said, he only played 32 games in the 2018-19 season, but he played pretty solid. He averaged 21 points, 8 assists, 1.5 steals, and a little under 4 rebounds as well too.
Hmm.
Obviously his 3-point percentage wasn't the best. And then obviously, his field goal percentage kind of dipped down a little bit as well too. But like I said, and even when he was on the All Smoke podcast, he kind of was playing through a lot of injuries as well too.
Yeah,
But do you think he's fully recovered from that Achilles injury? I mean, it's kind of tough to
to
kind of
know.
pinpoint exactly how he's going to be because his game is built off his athleticism, and I'm a little nervous as well too because he's more so of a pure point guard to me as opposed to Russell Westbrook. So
Okay.
I think he's that type of player who can play off ball, but I think he's most effective with the ball in his hand. So I don't really know what to expect as far as him and James Harden coexisting as well too. But what are your expectations for John Wall this upcoming season? Do you think we can get back to his All-Star caliber level?
I think it's going to take a little bit more time than that. I think he's going to be efficient, but I don't know if he's going to be super all-star. We've seen some clips though. We've seen some clips. That's pickup basketball. It's not. I mean, the telltale sign will be, of course, the playoffs. That's when the real players are made. John Wall already has that fiber about him. I think his body's gonna have to get used to, the grueling NBA season first. But being a point guard, you can maybe sacrifice some of those little things and for smarts, for position, and for efficiency. So we might not have to rely on athleticism just yet, but I think the whole body of work we won't really see until coming down the stretch or like in the midst of the NBA season. We won't really see the real John Wall, but we will see a very good portion of him.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I mean, honestly, I mean, on paper, the Houston Rockets look like a still a pretty damn good team, especially if
Hmm.
DeMarcus Cousins can get back to what he was,
Hmm.
and with the new coach, talking about the new system that they're trying to implement, I think they can still be a playoff team. But obviously, there's a difference between everything being on paper and obviously people meshing together with different personalities and wanting to buy into the system and whatnot as well too. But I think if they set their differences aside, they'll be good as well too. But like I said, the big what if is what's the update with James Harden? I mean, as an organization, you don't have to trade him, but
Yeah,
will we start to see him? Will we start to see him showing that he truly doesn't want to be there? Is he still
yeah.
going to be that vocal leader? Is he going to threaten to sit out games if he doesn't get traded? Like we don't know what's going to happen, but
I think this is the
I think
beginning of
on
the end for
paper they'll
him.
look good. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think this is the beginning of the end for him. And not saying that because it's not going to be successful, but I think it will reveal certain things that we, maybe were thinking from the first time, or maybe, can a team win certain ways and stuff like that? Because they're gonna have to adopt a different style of basketball, And if he does want to go somewhere, this will be the time. This will be the junction. You have John Wall there. You have the opportunity to start building in a different direction within a year and a half of this, point right here. So if it is the end, this is the beginning of the end for James Harden in Houston.
yeah. I have to agree with you as well too. So obviously we talked about the expectations for John Wall.
Hmm.
I'm thinking like what are the expectations looking for Russell Westbrook? I think we go back to the triple double Russell Westbrook, and I think he
Hmm.
played with more than enough superstars to know how to empower them as well too. We saw the second season he had with what's his name, Paul George, finished top three MVP race. We saw James Harden's year he had this year, monster year, and obviously we saw what he did with Kevin Durant as well too. So I think um, we have to raise the stigma on if he can play with another player, and I think he can. And
Yeah.
obviously, he's coming back with Scott Brooks, who
Heck yeah.
basically gave him the reins to
It's
mess
been a
up. He
while.
gave him the reins to be great.
It's been a
So that's
while.
going to be pretty good. And I think Washington, as much as they're going to miss John Wall, you get another person who literally breathes, sweats, dies for basketball as well too. And I think he adds another voice to the locker room because I think he's a great leader as well too, and he's truly about making an impact not even on the floor but off the floor as well too. But obviously you talked about a little bit earlier. I think him and Bradley Beal can coexist. And I mean, is it? Can you say right now they're the best backcourt in the East as well? Because when you
That's
look at
a
it,
good question.
what do we really have as the backcourt in the East? We don't really have that
I
much.
I could give you that from like a traditional guard kind of thing, and not, I'm being very specific to where it's like, some of the backcourts might involve people that could be considered small forwards or, stuff like that. So they're up there. I'm not saying they're going to be the best, but they're up there. They're up there. I think traditionally, you could say that they could be the best.
Yeah, for sure. Well, but what are your expectations for the Brody coming to DC? I'm a little upset that I kind of moved already to the West Coast.
Been
My brother stays in DC, so I would have definitely went to a
in the
couple of
game.
Wizards games as well too. What are your expectations for the Brody?
I think. Hmm, I think he'll be very much a part. of the Russell Westbrook of old. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a machine. He's an efficient scoring, rebounding, compacted stat sheet out machine, and can also get you over the hump in some ways. So for for a Wizards team that's been, at that cusp or a little bit out of the playoffs by maybe one or two spots each year, this is the person that should be able to do it, for all intents and purposes. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that as well too. And then I guess my last question in this topic as well too is, who do you think is more likely to make the playoffs, the Wizards or the Houston Rockets, and why?
Houston Rockets, because they're already a playoff caliber team. Not playoff. I don't say already because there's a new makeup, but they've been a team that have already, and the organizations that has already been into the playoffs. I think the players on their roster have already, been into the playoffs multiple times throughout the year. So it's already kind of a groundwork for that. I mean, I think it's harder to get a seat at the table than, you know, being somebody that's coming from outside the house trying to get the seat at the table. So that's what I'm seeing with that. I just think Houston's going to be a little bit more of a better bet to get to the playoffs first. But Washington has a good chance, to battle around. But also those bottom spots of the East, we're seeing some shakeup too. We don't really know what's going to go happen from five below in the East.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm still trying to figure that out right now, as you gave your take on it as well too. Um, Both players in James Harden and Russell Westbrook, since they've kind of had that reigns as being the number one guy on their team, they haven't missed the playoffs before.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a toss up. But like I said, on paper, it definitely looks like the Rockets for sure. But the fact that the East has gotten stronger, but still is considered a little bit weaker, I'm gonna have
Interesting.
to go with the Washington Wizards as well too. That's all they're missing. They got some new pieces. Their players have gotten. I'm assuming they've developed as well too. So I'm gonna have to go with the Washington Wizards as well too. Now it's gonna be a dogfight for that final seed because right now you got the Bucks, you got the Raptors, you got the Sixers, you got the Celtics, you got the Nets coming back, you got the Pacers who are on to something as well too.
And check it
And then
out
you
though.
have Miami Heat. So you have one seed left. Who's going to get that? Is it going to be the Wizards, the Magic, the Hawks? Who gets that last seed? But I think they'll I think they'll squeeze their way in to get the eighth or seventh seed.
And you have the addition of the quote unquote play in. So that could also prove a factor. So
Yeah.
we could see, veterans or non-veterans and the supporting cast be put into a makeshift playoff, for all for all purposes and all intentions. That's a playoff scenario when you go into the playing games. That's what is that? That's like NCAA tournament. That sounds like, yo, they need to, fight to hopefully get a spot in the field of 62. That's
Mm.
do or die. So we'll see what happens with that too. I think.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that. So you
Mm-hmm,
definitely have a valid point right there for sure. Damn. Yeah,
mm-hmm,
we'll see.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to see Brody. I got to see Brody back in the playoffs.
Yeah,
We'll see. And then he's wearing number 4 now. I was watching his NBA media availability interview, and apparently he never really wanted to wear number 0. He always wanted to wear
interesting.
number 4, but every time. So when he got to OKC, he no. So I think when he got to UCLA, Darren Collison
Mm-hmm,
had, I think, number 0 or something like that. I may be a
mm-hmm.
little misinformed. And then when he got to OKC, Nick Collison had that, and then obviously when he got to the Rockets, someone had that as well to number 4. So it's kind of good, dope, kind of how like with KD changed number 7, he's changing number 4 now as well too. So
Yeah,
I think we're gonna get a revitalized Russell Westbrook, and I'm so excited to see what happens. So I'm definitely gonna be keen in and watching a lot of games as well too. So we'll
it's
see how that goes as well. Moving on to my next topic. Kyrie Irving, man, I feel like we probably
Kyrie.
cover him the most, right?
Yeah, he's our favorite guy.
He's our favorite guy. Kyrie, you want to be the
You want to be the what? You want to be the star player.
Kyrie Irving always finds a way to make it to the media. But this one's pretty interesting, and I'm interested to hear your take as well too. So before we get into it, it's been kind of announced, or we're speculating that Kyrie Irving is going to have a media blackout for the entirety of the 2020-21 season. And he came up with a statement as well too, and he said, "Instead of speaking to the media today, I'm issuing this statement to ensure that my message is properly conveyed. The statement said, in part, I'm committed to show up to work every day, ready to have fun, compete, perform, and win championships alongside my teammates and colleagues in the Nets organization. COVID-19 has impacted us in many ways, so I pray for the safety. I'm truly excited for the season to start, and I also am praying that everyone remains safe and healthy throughout this journey. My goal this season is to let my work on and off the court speak for itself. Life hit differently this year, and it requires us, it requires me to move differently. So this is the beginning of that change. So it's pretty interesting as well too, because for selfish reasons, like I said, this whole week I'm trying to dissect people's brains and see
Mm-hmm.
the growth that they've learned from and what they want to bring to the table as well too. And with Kyrie, it's not even about the growth for him from a basketball perspective. I just truly love listening to what he has to say as well too, because I feel like his wavelength is just on another level compared to these other players as well too.
Yeah.
In my eyes, he's truly a genius as well too. And obviously the cons with that as well. Well, I guess the pros is with Kyrie, the media for some reason always likes to poke fun at him or always like to single him out as the weird guy or the crazy guy or the misunderstood guy or something like that. So it's kind of good that words are not going to essentially be misconstrued or misinterpreted, and they won't get any
Yeah.
sound bites off of him as well too. So I think with social media and the environment and the added pressure that it takes, that added pressure that it adds to the individual, and then the toll it takes on the individual as well too. I think it's best for him to kind of lay low and just play basketball. But what are your thoughts on all that as well too?
I think you know, the deeper the waters, also the more misunderstood that the terrain and the waters are. So, we can't speak to everything, but we do know that, like you just said, Kyrie does operate on a little bit different of a wavelength. We didn't really know it at first, but as the time went on, you kind of look at him, you kind of listen to what he says. He does take a different look at stuff, and this is not the flat Earth jokes or whatever like that, but his point of view is a little bit different. The way he says stuff is a little bit different. The way he's been approached, the way he's been portrayed in the media, it's been to a certain extent where the answers that he might want to give, he might not be able to give because that it'll be a story that comes up and he's like, what are you talking about? And then,
Yeah.
the Boston fans are looking at you a certain way, or, and then or the Cleveland fans are looking at you a certain way, and now he's with a new team. The Brooklyn fans might look at you a certain way. So I think it kind of wipes the slate in a way. Look, we're not talking to the media. We're going to say in the name of, COVID. We're going to say in the name of growing. We're going to say in the name of just kind of getting back to what we love. I'm going to put on for you guys. I'm going to entertain. I'm going to do what I need to do for my family. You guys are going to watch me play, but it's not going to be that same dialogue. And also, it gives him an opportunity to, when he does talk, how he talks, whether it be live or whatever like that, it's from him to everybody else. He's going to say what needs to be said, whether it's good, bad, or the third. At least there's not going to be a channel for it to be quote unquote twisted, right? So we always talk about the lines between the media because in a way we are media. So we're relations between the media and the player, the talking points and stuff like that. But Kyrie, in a way, is taking it back into his own hands. He's starting understanding from brick one. So the foundation of understanding from brick one, from ground one, from base one, from home plate, and it's really dope. It's dope, and
Yeah, for
we'll see what
sure.
happens with it.
Yeah, and then I guess the biggest thing where I'm trying to get towards is like one, um, is it written in their contract that they're obligated to have interactions with the media? Is that something where, Adam Silver is going to get in communication with him and he may
Mm-hmm.
start to dock out paychecks? I mean, dock out money for like pay fines, and money comes out of his paycheck. Or is it like a voluntary thing as well too? Because it's kind of a win-win. You get some extra publicity, and obviously we get a story out of you as well too. So I can see where that happens. And will this be a domino effect? Will
Yeah.
players start to feel more empowered and say, "Hey, I don't have to interact with you as well too," or maybe when they have a new, collective bargaining agreement, it's probably a standard in your contract that you're obligated to do that as well too. Do you think there's going to be a domino effect with other star-based players who do not want to interact with the media moving forward?
I think the biggest kind of example we've seen of this in any sports league was probably Marshawn Lynch. He's like, in a way, he
I
took
forgot about
his
that.
way about it. He was a G about it, but um, I think this doesn't hurt the media, the league's money. But when it starts to hurt in people's pockets, then it will be a problem. But it will, people will start knocking on the door if Brooklyn is successful or if they're unsuccessful. If there seems like there's turmoil, that's when they will start knocking on the door. Now, I can understand when if there is like trouble and they don't want to speak, that might be a little bit different. But when they are at the height of it and then they're like, yo, can we get a statement from it? This is something that the league can market and they want sound bites from Kyrie that they can, put out and put in their content and make money off of it, and hopefully make the league more money. That's when it might become a problem, you know. Uh, but I don't foresee Adam Silver getting in the way of this, him being super progressive unless there is a mass example or like just a huge change. And a lot of players want to do this because I think the
Yeah.
vast majority of people are okay with talking, even with the COVID guidelines, for the people, only being with the headphones on and being 6 feet apart or having masks on with the reporters. I think we're still running pretty well with it. But if you have like a whole team of players or the coaches or five or more superstars, so I was listening to LeBron. He was talking to RJ and Shannon Fry, and then the
Road
co-host.
tripping.
Yeah. And I'm blinking on her, so forgive me for that. But they were talking about the bubble and like, yo, when Pat Beverly was like, yo, we're only gonna play if LeBron plays, and then RJ at a point was like, yo, for real, like you only need five people to market. Some of these guys don't have to play. You only need five people to market. So it's gonna come down to that. You need the people that you are marketing to talk. You need the LeBrons to talk. You need the people that are making you money to talk. Headlines. If it bleeds, it reads. But if it's Kyrie Irving and he's putting on making money from a viewership standpoint, they might get a little ping and say, hey, can we adjust this? Can we compromise? But I don't foresee them shutting it all down. And I think that's a testament to one, Kyrie's progressiveness and his way of going about it and going ahead and issuing the statement, but also Adam Silva and the league that he's trying to sustain, build, and make that will, continue on for years and years to come.
Mm, I like that. I like that as well too. So moving our focus, pandemic P, Paul George, playoff P, whatever you want to call him. Obviously,
Chatty Patty.
Chatty. P. Hey, let me type that real quick.
Chatty Patty.
Hey yo.
Because it seems like every time we talk about him, it's about him talking.
Oh my God,
uh,
Chatty Patty, I like that. Chatty P, something like that. But Chatty Patty's very,
he
very
gonna pull up on
catchy.
me and kick my ass.
Yeah, he is definitely gonna kick your ass when you come over here and visit me in LA. But yeah, Paul George is on All the Smoke podcast. And it's crazy because like I'm thinking the new episode's gonna drop this week. So with All the Smoke, I'm a pretty loyal fan, and it kind of really depends on who's getting interviewed as well too. But
Facts.
I obviously always wanted to see what Paul George wants to say as well too. So I guess from their perspective, they kind of wanted to jump on that topic as well too, or jump on that story before anyone else. So they kind of had a mini little promo on Paul George, how the Clippers basically folded from a 3-1 deficit, and how he felt like he was not being utilized correctly. So a couple of excerpts from here. He said that Doc was trying to play. This is a quote from him. Doc was trying to play me as Ray Allen or JJ Redick, all pin downs. George said, "I can do it, but that ain't my game. I need some flow. I need some mixes of some pick and roll and some post ups. That last season was hard." So obviously he's pinning the blame on Doc Rivers. And at first we're like, damn, like based on this little 6-7 minute video, it seems like you're pinning all the blame on everyone but yourself. Come to find out, when he had an NBA media day availability, he kind of held himself accountable as well too, and cleared the air and said, "Yo, with Doc Rivers, he's a great coach. We have no beef, X, Y, and Z. But I just want to play. I wanted to kind of clear that up as well too. But it's a little weird because the analytics guys kind of pulled out some stats and they said this year alone, He finished 33% of his total plays using pick and roll, which was career high. And the most he had was obviously the year before his MVP candidate race with OKC, where it was 25%. So my whole thing was like, you have him on pick and roll. So what are you talking about? Are you talking about the entirety of the season, or
Mhm.
for that particular series where you not you going
Getting
to
your pick and
utilize the
rolls and
pick
your
and roll
sets.
as well too? So I wish he kind of
Clear
gave us a
foot.
little bit more transparency, more clarification itself. But it's kind of interesting to see how that unfolded as well too. But I mean, what are your thoughts on him? Do you think he had a right to kind of criticize Doc as well too? I mean, who's to blame as well? Because just listening to NBA media day availability and whatnot as well too, there was just a lot of things that I think that kind of went to the demise of them blowing that 3-1 lead as well too. Not being able to start training camp.
Yeah.
Paul George and Kawhi coming off of surgeries as well too. Them not as a healthy unit. Them only playing before the bubble, what 10, 11 games together.
Not that
Um,
much.
and obviously there was a pause with the bubble. People were in and out of the bubble as well too, and it just seems like a lot of things kind of led to all that as well too. But what are your thoughts on Paul George's comments and whatnot as well too? Because like you said, Chatty Patty always be in the news when he should just just
I
lay low.
I didn't hear the exact question. Okay, so and I'm throwing him a bone right now, and then I'll get into sparking him up a little bit. But I didn't hear the exact question. But from what it sounded like, if I could say anything, it's like he was more describing possibly his discomfort via the system and why he didn't play well. Um, it was very, very, we heard the soundbite of it and then it was
Yeah.
like, yo, this dude is on it again. He's doing it again. But maybe it's like, yo, I didn't feel super comfortable. I couldn't get into a groove because I feel like Doc didn't really, he didn't give me any play calls. That's what it sounded like. It's like, yo, blow the whistle, call my play because it seems like I'm just out here running in space. Um, who's to blame? PG's kind of how much pressure is on PG's source? Um, and going from there, if we look at it from back in the bubble, yes, we know PG was saying his things were difficult for him, but at the same time, that team playing that Nuggets team unraveled. Like they didn't look like the Celtics. They didn't look like a team that could come back and win a game. Just because they're dominant and the top two team in the league. Regardless of the conference, it totally seemed like that the Nuggets had their number and they were just searching for an answer. So when it came down to that, it's like PG was you were play calls for you really going to get it done? Because it looked like the whole team was kind of disoriented, disenjarred, and all that. Come down to it, I saw a clip of that same comment, but then it was like PG shooting that tray ball from the corner and he like hitting the top of the backboard, and it was like, bruh. And it's like, then we just look at you playing. It's like, all right, you are a superstar. Yes, there's play calls, but after a while, bro, you can go run, get the fucking ball, and say, clear out the way. Yo, Trez, come set the screen, or yo, uh, who's it? Not Nurkic, but Zurak, right? Was on the team. Come set the screen for me real quick. Everybody go low. Kawhi, I'm gonna dish you the ball. We're running 2-man game, stuff like that. There's stuff outside of your coach calling the plays that you can make something happen, at least touch the paint stuff. So and basketball players have to play. Coaches are honestly at this point in day and time, if you have a good program, their suggestions, you put them in the place, the system works. But for that was just like, bro, get it together. Do what you got to do. But it would seem like, you standing in the corner as the top two person on the team, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. And then you coming on national television and saying, yo, no, he didn't run the play call for me. Well, bro, show us why he should run a play card for you. Go get the ball. Go do what you got to do. And because we've seen Paul George be effective like that, but him again being chatty, just coming out and talking about this and kind of even presenting himself where it seems like he's not the most accountable, even if it's just one interview where he's saying, yo, I felt like this and this one, and then coming on to the next one saying, yo, I got to hold myself accountable on this one. That is not a good look. I'm not fault aside. It's just not a great look because you haven't showed us or you haven't accomplished or gotten over the hump in what you wanted to accomplish for us to say like, oh, that wasn't your fault. No, bro, you are just as in the mix as Doc Rivers and your teammates as anybody. You guys, and I think I saw a quote from Jamal Murray. It's like, yo, they're talking about it like we didn't beat them. It's like they lost to us. No, we beat them. The Nuggets went and we beat them. I went crazy. Nuggets went crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, uh, MP went crazy. That is what it is, and I think you gotta give the Nuggets their credit. You got Paul George. You got to keep working and hopefully find us back where we think you are, where we are putting you on a pedestal too, because there have already been rumors where it's like, yo, we just romanticized PG. It's what we thought. We were younger, we were younger, we was in love, whatever like that. We was googly eyes, and you get older and you come back to the same person. You're like, yo, this is really what you was on? Like, how did I fall for that? And not being super dramatic because Paul George is a good player, but it's like, what is real, what is fake, what is not with this, and how good is he actually?
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one as well too. So we'll see what happens with that, because like this is the year I think where this is the most pressure on him as well too. And then
Mm-hmm.
also, if you look at his numbers from his first go around with OKC, and then when they actually had an entire new season to kind of put him in position to be more successful, he finished top 3 in the MVP race as well too.
Mm-hmm.
So do you expect a better season from Paul George this year as well too? And how much pressure do you think is on him this year? Because at the end of the day, everyone has their dynamic duo player, but he seems like out of all the dynamic duos who were released in the playoffs,
Yeah.
he was the one who was the weakest link. But how do
Yeah,
you feel about all that?
it's been very crazy, right? Because we seen him probably come off and have one of a really good year with Russell, but then Dame hit the dagger in his face, right? And then we see him come to Clippers and it's all good. Or no, or even before that, we see him in Indiana, but then he like breaks his leg. Was that Olympics, correct? Or was it in the NBA? It was Olympics when he broke his
Olympics
legs.
exhibition
Yeah,
game, yeah.
yeah, he broke his legs Olympics exhibition game. Then he's at the Clippers and thank God no injury, but it's like, yo, what in the world? So he's kind of on the bad end of the stick, like you were saying. It's like, yo, we keep looking around and it's like you're a common denominator. I think every time he does come out and he's working very well, it's like, yo, this dude, this is who we thought he was. Um, but we don't know, we doesn't always translate until that latter part of the season. That's what we want the most from him. We see him look amazing, like a great player, hit the game winning shots coming down the stretch of the season. But it's like the playoffs are a different beast. Listening to Kelly Oubre talk about it, it's like, yo, it's like the playoffs are where men are made. The playoffs are, everybody talks about how the playoffs are a different season altogether. And we want the playoff P that we think him to be the, not playoff P, but we want Paul George to be who we think he is in the regular season, in the playoffs as well. That's all we want. So the pressure's on. I think anytime we see him like in a kind of a different fit, he works very well coming out the gate. So I'm hoping that they take the necessary adjustments. I hopefully that them maybe having a different kind of team outlook a little bit, along with different leadership, will excel the two guys to get the most out of the two guys. And maybe this is a conversation next episode, whatever, but maybe this is a conversation also on the quote unquote load management, because there were also headlines that were saying, yo, they can play whenever they wanted to. And when it comes to a series where you got to play the next day, the next day, the next day in a bubble every other day, this is maybe it's a deeper topic, but
It's like skipping
oh,
class, bruh. It's like
it's like
skipping
skipping
class.
class. You ain't got the assignment, bro. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what we talked about the day before. You don't know, it's like when Chris, everybody's he's Chris skipped class and Earth, Wind, and Fire came to the school. You're like, we're looking for the one black boy. We're looking for Chris. Chris wasn't here today. So we're looking for P. P wasn't here today. We're looking for Kawhi. Kawhi wasn't here today. Earth, Wind, and Fire at the school. So we got to see what's going on. I think all the pressure's on P.
Yeah, definitely for sure as well too. And it at this point, we know what he's capable of, but I truly believe like certain players really get affected by social media.
Yeah.
And I think for him, I think it's the trolls from social media, and I think it's the fact that he's always been in a small market.
Mm,
And as stakes get higher, I feel like some people ain't necessarily built for it. Now we've seen glimpses. I think he can be built for it, but I also think that social media plays a huge role in him listening to the outside noise and that affecting his game as well too. Because obviously, like a player like Kyrie, he said in the KD interview from a couple months ago, he said that shit actually takes a toll on you as well too.
where
So if I'm him, obviously he has some paid partnerships and whatnot as well too. I'm logging off, disabling my comments, posting when I need to, and I'm getting off of all forms of social media. Like you don't need that extra negativity in your brain as well too. But you kind of have to learn how to navigate with that as well too, right? Because I'm sure there's other people who are constantly on there, like the younger generation, like a Jamal Murray or like a Jokic or whoever, and
hell
that
yeah.
that shit don't phase them as well too. So at the end of the day, that's no excuse. But um, at the end of the day, we all want Paul George to succeed because, like we
We
said,
want
we
to be
root
great.
for well, we want him to be great. So this is the year because I feel like if he doesn't perform in the playoffs this year, you may ask
Mm,
yourself because he also was like, "Yo, I can see myself being a Clipper for life. You know, I'm comfortable playing with Kawhi. I'm comfortable being in the LA market. If you don't play well, I wouldn't be surprised if you know opt out of contract and try to restructure some stuff. The Clippers gonna be like, nah, bro, let's try to get like a player like Giannis or whatever to
nah,
replace
let's
you.
get Giannis
So
out here.
there's a lot of pressure on this year as well too. So we'll see what happens with that as well. Um, moving on to my next topic. Stay off the
The
weed.
weed. Stay off the
So the
weed up.
NBA, the NBA won't conduct random marijuana tests in the 2020-21 season as well too. And it came out with a quote saying, "Due to the unusual circumstances in conjunction with the pandemic, we have agreed with the NBA Players Association to suspend random testing for marijuana for the 2021 season and focus our random testing program on performance enhancing products and drugs of abuse." NBA spokesperson Mike Bass said in a statement, that came out a couple days ago as well too. So yes, major W for NBA Players Association and the NBA itself being more progressive as well too, because honestly, there's the good and bad with things as well too. But I feel like with marijuana, that's something that's more so of a pros. You know, what I'm saying it's a natural herb.
Yeah.
It helps with anxiety, chronic pain, nausea, anti-cancer effects, which is limited with research. And it helps treat depression amongst other pros as well too. So. Um, as long as you can consume that in moderation and it doesn't affect your game, affect your personal day-to-day situations with your family, job, all that good stuff as well too. I'm all for it. I mean, I
So,
feel like this is going to be a trial to see how it goes. And if it's good this season, I think they're going to say to hell with it and just not ever have that again as well too. But what are your thoughts on this major W?
uh, it's big time. And it also kind of just goes back to like, what's important. Like we are literally in the pandemic period, right? People are dying because they're sick. You know what I'm saying? Like, marijuana is never posed as something that people are not going to be able to do their job. People are not going to be able to come to the games, be effective, that and the third. And it was kind of a nuisance after it went on, looking at it. And we have seen as, people are retiring as the league gets a little bit older, players that have said, yo, I smoked when I was in the league, or this and the third, or shout out all the smoke, where they were like, they're honest about how, their use of marijuana. Um, and at this point in junction of time, it's like, yo, this stuff is not important. This stuff is not important, you know? And let's shift it because we have leagues and we have these are high caliber athletes that are using their body in high caliber ways that are breaking down. It was like, yo, maybe you do need hemp oil and this kind of third. You can use it for healing purposes as well. So this is the first step in hopefully a long process of let's see how we can help heal our players and help heal people with anxiety and stuff like that. And medicinal weed and weed, recreational weed is just one. It's just one of the things, but we also have to say, all right, use these players to produce a product, but we also have to pour back into the players and see how their body feels and see how they are after retiring from the league, how their anxiety is, how their mental health is. So hopefully this is a one step in a holistic health approach that the league can follow for their current, retired, and players that are entering and becoming of the brotherhood of the NBA. So I think it's good.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, you nailed all points, so I agree with you on that one. Another topic is the NBA outlined the COVID-19 safety protocol, which is 134 pages. It's kind of like the syllabus, right? No one really reads the syllabus until maybe what the due date is with everything as well too. So I don't really
Yeah.
expect that many players to basically look at that as well too. But to highlight a couple things as well too, like I said, it's 134 pages. And it's very, very similar to what was created in the bubble as well too. And basically, is the league attempting to combat the coronavirus without the
Oh, the
benefit of
virus.
inside the bubble as well too. And obviously, they were sealed away from the outside world, so no one was able to catch COVID as well too. But it's going to be a little interesting. It seems like they're kind of going after the model of MLB, going after the model of NFL as well too, and obviously the NBA. Was the first successful sports startup to not have any positive cases whatsoever in the bubble when they began rapid testing on a daily basis. So we'll see how that goes as well too. Some key facts right here, and this was a story from ESPN from Tim Bottemps. Interesting last name. He said under the time-based resolution, the infected person would have to either have gone at least 10 days since the date of their first positive test or the onset of any symptoms. If they've had any, gone at least 24 hours since their fever went away without using any medication or other symptoms has improved. So basically, from what I gathered from that was if you get tested for coronavirus, you're going to miss 10 days, which will kind of, if you're playing every other day, that's at least 3 to 5 games that you're going to miss.
Hmm.
And then I think they said that it can also, if you violate the protocols and whatnot, that can have an effect on your pay, also have an effect on um, draft picks as well too, moving forward as well. So like I said, it's pretty extensive with what everything's being documented for as well. Um, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a trust factor. I mean, obviously, this is still something that, we're battling. This is an invisible villain that we're kind of fighting against right now as well, too. So you can catch it in any form or shape as possible as well, too. So I think they should abide by these rules as well. But you got to keep in mind that obviously they're going to different markets and whatnot as well too. There's still kids who don't have the luxury to get school from home remotely as well. You still have people in your family that are part of the front lines and are constantly going in and out and getting in contact with people as well too. So who's to say that you don't catch it from your wife and then you kind of
Yeah.
the common domino effect as well too. So if there's any other league, I trust the NBA the most, but
Yeah.
being realistic, out of 72 games, constant travel, you're there's gonna be people that catch the coronavirus as well too. Now, obviously, the vaccine is gonna come out pretty soon, so maybe the players have an inside scoop as well because they invested a lot of money into the rapid testing as well too. So maybe there's something on the table where they kind of get the vaccine prematurely if they're
Yeah.
willing to take it. Will that be something that's mandated, where it's going to be a requirement or voluntary? We don't know, but how do you feel about the safety guide? And more so importantly, do you believe NBA players will stay disciplined as well too? Because we saw some stuff that happened in the bubble with, Daniel House and all that other good stuff, and
Hmm.
some lemon pepper Lou and all that. But do you think that players, seeing that the model was good in the bubble, do you think that will um, go into or bleed into the season where there's no bubble anymore?
I think the police stay pretty disciplined. I mean, at the end of the day, it's their job, it's their livelihood. I think the NBA is very much running parallel with outside factors, whether it be vaccine, new administration, and things like that. Like we saw, the guy that was head over the first bubble is going to be on the task force for COVID as from a national level now. So there are people in different places that are really going to help this, hopefully, this augmented or not say augmented, but this kind of hybrid NBA season work. And we'll see how that goes. But I believe that the NBA has accounted for other factors involved. I believe that the discipline there is gonna it's gonna be hit or miss like any other thing. It's like everyday life. It's like, can you stay disciplined? Can you do this? Can you accord to this? There's gonna be some people that are gonna be all for it. There's gonna be some people that are gonna slip up. But I think from an overall standpoint, that you might have 80-20 split, 75-25 split, and that 25 might be players that don't got nothing to do with nothing other than, some bench energy or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So I think the NBA is trying to put the best stuff in place for everybody to get played, everybody get paid. I think a lot of this probably just stems from what they had to agree about in the NBA Players Association meeting with the little going back and forth with it as far as getting it started. So when they did decide on certain stuff, they had to also put this document in place to hopefully help everybody get played, continue things going, and accommodate for the players and possibly the fans that are going to add to this to the monetary gain, which this should be this season if everything goes well. With a big free agency, with the draft that just happened, and you're starting on December 22nd, and you're gonna have Christmas Day games as well as we're gonna talk about. Um, this is a money making opportunity for everybody, and the 134 pages is really just a testament of saying, hey, let's make this money and hopefully keep it going until we can get either testing that we can move freely or get vaccines that are going to be safe and efficient so everybody can get them. So,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm kind of, and this is kind of basically what our world is as well too. It kind of sucks because with the Raptors, I didn't even know that there's still some travel restrictions between Canada and the United States as well. So the Toronto Raptors, all their home games are going to
our
be in
tempo.
Tampa Bay, which is insane. So now I'm
Yeah,
wondering, like, they're essentially kind of in the bubble as well too because these other players have
they're
the
not
freedom
home.
to go home and whatnot. So are these players essentially going to have like a basis in where they can stay, where they can have their family at, or are they just going to be journeymen and have to kind of wait to get back whenever they can as well, at least for the first half of the season? But I kind of feel bad for them as well. So
It's going to be
we'll
tough.
see that. We'll see how that happens. Obviously, they have the experience being in a bubble, so they know how it is, and obviously they're going to be together and going to still be able to travel to different cities and play. So I think that will give them some form of normalcy as well too. But I kind of think about home court advantage, this and that. Like how much is that going to affect them moving forward? But if there's
Yeah.
any team to stick together through tough times, it's definitely the Toronto Raptors as well too.
Hell yeah.
Um, Now the NBA, came out with a list of nationally televised games and whatnot as well too. Now I don't know if this is just for the first half of the season or is this for the entirety of the season. But obviously, looking at the chart that I have pulled up right here, the Lakers lead the way with 16 nationally televised games, and then you have what a one, two, three, four-way tie between the Warriors, Pelicans, Mavericks, and Celtics with 14 games. Nets have 13, Bucks have 12, Clippers have 11, Heat
The
have
Heat
10 as
got slighted. That's I already
Heat,
know at this point.
yeah, he got 10. 76ers and Suns got 9. Rockets got 7, which was shocking. And then the Nuggets have 6. Blazers have 5. Jazz have 4, with the Raptors having 4. Grizzlies with 3. Pacers with 2. And then the miscellaneous East Coast and West Coast teams have 1. Wizards, Thunder, Spurs, Pistons, Magic, Kings, Cavs don't have any as well too. That's crazy. But what are your thoughts on the fluctuations of the nationally televised games, and are you surprised? And obviously, you kind of already was about to get into that question. What teams got slighted? But give me your thoughts on all that.
Denver and Heat got slighted, definitely. But again, it's marketing. It's like, how can we make the most money off of one's name or one sentence, So boom, LeBron James is playing Kawhi Leonard. Boom, that's the national televised game. LeBron James is playing KD. Boom, that's two. So just like that, you got 13 nationally televised games, and then you have to fill in your spots from there. So I'm not surprised by it, but the Heat should definitely be in there somewhere. Um, but they're also a blue collar team. We like flashy stuff. I wouldn't call the Nuggets a necessarily blue collar team, but that's the team that should be, getting televised. Unfortunately, this is not the NCAA, so you're not going to see like a random team on a random night that might have a really good player on it. You're going to see the people that are going to make the most money, so people can get paid the most from the organization that's paying you. So it sucks to suck, but the playoffs are the playoffs are the time when you go get paid and hopefully, and it's just weird because you can play really well, but you might still not get put on the national TV docket. So that's my take on that one.
No, I agree with you as well too. Yeah, the Nuggets definitely got slided 6. Like this is probably the most exciting team in the bubble as well too. And I think
Hmm.
um, with MPJ, Jokic, and Murray, I feel like they have enough built up buzz for people to at least tune in. Because honestly, with me, I want to see who's from a point guard matchup with just being a guard driven league now, who's Murray going to be matched up against, and is he
Heck
going to
yeah,
go for 40? You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a pretty good narrative as well. Like you said, the Heat, they are a blue collar team, kind of like the San Antonio Spurs, so it kind of makes sense as well too. And I think that's just going to do nothing but add more fuel to their fire as well too. And they're going to be one of those teams where no one really has them as a top tier favorite to get back to the finals, but I wouldn't be surprised, with the confidence that they have, the chemistry that they have, just listening to all their players during media time. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up being the top seed
heck
in the
yeah.
East as well too, because they kind of essentially did the same. Obviously, you have to um, reimmerse Kyrie and KD with that new coaching staff as well too. And then you also have to get Drew Holiday into the mix as well too. Raptors lost Serge Ibaka and Marcus Gasol as well too. Tristan Thompson's coming into this flow of things as well too. So there's a lot of moving pieces. So I wouldn't be surprised if they end up being a top tier team as well. But
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, looking at it historically speaking, Lakers, Celtics, Warriors, very very popular. Luca obviously has that international um, glow pull from him as well too. So I can see a lot of international player and a lot of international fans wanting to see that as well too. And then Zion, I mean, once in a lifetime
Zion.
generational type of player. You know what I'm saying? We want to see him. He makes a lot of money, and we know when he's healthy and playing on the court, his team is always going to be put in position to win games. So
So,
and we've never seen someone like him. So it's crazy, but it's interesting as well. With the Rockets, I don't know if I'm shocked that it should be more or less than 7 games because, like we said, we don't know exactly what's going to happen with James Harden as well too. So that's going to be interesting to see as well too. But I was more shocked about Portland only having 5 games as opposed to Miami Heat and whatnot because Dame, what he did in the bubble is that was probably one of the greatest stretches that I've seen as well too. And obviously that's always going to be remembered with us because we will be the
yeah.
generation that has went through this pandemic. But the Dame story is crazy, and I think they slided them not even to be considered in the playoffs or something like that as well too. I may be a little misinformed, but
Well,
apparently they slid them again.
I feel like they look at Dame as like a BOGO. You know, you can get him on those few games in the regular season, but you're also going to get vintage Dame starting off the playoffs that is going to make you just as much money. It's going to be the best bang for your buck. So yes, Dame is a sick player, but he doesn't also pull like the same kind of Kobe Bryant attention in a way. Um, so those 6 games are gonna get a little bit of money, but you're gonna have must see TV when it comes to Dame in the playoffs. And why would I show them more when I can get more money showing other people? I think
Mm.
that's probably the mindset.
That's a good way to look at it as well too. I didn't think about it in that aspect, but yeah. So kind of moving forward as well too. So we're not obviously gonna break these Christmas games down. I feel like we should save an episode just for that. But for
Okay.
Christmas games, some highlighted games are Pelicans versus Heat to start off the show at 12 o'clock Eastern time. Then we got Warriors versus Bucks, Brooklyn Nets versus Celtics, Mavericks versus Lakers, Clippers versus Nuggets. Now, just looking at all this, I was just kind of like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah,
it's just a weird mesh of games all together.
they're
But
off
looking at
kilter.
it now, I'm probably most excited about the Clippers Nuggets game because, like I said, PG, are you going to rise above the occasion? You know, everybody watching you. You're going to go for 35, 40. Jamal Murray, what you going to do as well? But
Hmm.
honestly, for Christmas Day itself, I wanted to see the Lakers kind of go up against the Nets. I
Okay.
wanted to see that. Um, I get it with Zion Williamson, or it would have even been nice to see Miami going up against the Lakers for a rematch as well too. But there's just a couple of teams that could have been shuffled around. But I think the league still did a good job at giving the fans what they wanted from an aspect as well too. Any thoughts on the Christmas game schedule?
Just a random thought. I don't think the Lakers are gonna care one thing about what the Brooklyn Nets do. But that's a different conversation for a different day because that route's not through them. But yeah, a little bit off kilter. You will just see some interesting stuff. I think it'll be. I think this is one of those things where it's kind of just preseason in a way. Christmas Day game is low key kind of reduced to a preseason game, so we'll see some good stuff up and down, but we might not see, or we might see some chilling in the first half. We might see a little bit better stuff coming down. It's not probably going to look pretty. Um, I'm not expecting too much. I think the matchups, again, like we said, for economic reasons, they're going to sell, but like you said, the Clippers versus the Nuggets is probably going to be our biggest game that we have. I don't think you're going to be able to take anything from that unless it's just a heated game from the start. But I think it'll be it's a good little benchmark for we'll see where teams are. We'll see maybe the real teams in early February, and then we'll see the consistent guys in late March.
Mhm. Yeah, so obviously the first half of the season, they came out with the schedule for everything as well too. But as far as storylines go, what games are you kind of circling on your calendar that you want to see?
Mm,
If I guess if you had to pick three games, what do you want to see?
I definitely want to see Lakers versus Nets, and this might not be on the thing because I don't even have it pulled up. Sorry,
Yeah,
but
I kind of went off of that. I just want to hear
yeah,
your opinion.
Lakers versus Nets. That's gonna be big for us. It's not gonna be anything top like the player that plays chess like LeBron James. He doesn't care about that. He's not gonna care unless they see them in the finals. And that's even a toss up to whereas if they will get to the finals, Lakers versus Nets. I want to see. Uh, hmm,
Tough
Lakers
one,
versus
right?
Nets. Yeah, so that's a tough one because I mean, honestly, a lot of it goes back to the Lakers. The Lakers. I do want to see. I want to see the Jazz versus the Nuggets. And, because Donovan Mitchell fought so hard, and we'll see what happens. And then after that, I'd like to see. Uh, I guess I'll go back again to see Portland versus the Lakers.
Hmm.
But even still, it lends itself to me seeing the Lakers three times. And you say they had 13 televised. Again, goes right back. It's a callback. So that's some of the stuff I just want to see. I want to see how they match up. And Lakers are a team that they could get a number one spot. We'll see, but I could also see them getting like two or three, just because you're gonna get every team's best matchup. It's like the stage is set. They make money, they bring the heads to the gym, but the stage is set for them to get every team's best punch. So we'll see
Hmm.
how that goes for them throughout the season. But I also don't think that their younger stars are getting any worse. Nor do I think LeBron is going to slow down from a mastermind standpoint. So.
Hmm. Interesting. And I'll give you my three games I'm looking forward to. But when you're just talking about young talent with the Lakers, I literally thought of Giannis' younger brother, like breast 6'10", like 220. When is he gonna get unleashed? And like, does he even work out with like his older brother Giannis? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, like we
He's
don't
a
expect
forward
him to be
though.
an MVP type of player, yeah. But I think he should at least at some point in time be a rotation piece, like a Seth Curry. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
But that was just a random thought as well too. As far as games for me, you kind of hit it on the nail as well. I want to see Lakers versus Nets. Obviously, KD has come off of Achilles injury. Kyrie kind of came off of shoulder surgery, and as far as depth goes, I feel like those are the top two teams that have the most depth outside of their dynamic duo. So
Hmm.
right now, we're kind of LeBron has the throne. Who's going to dethrone him? One person you come to mind is KD because if he's on his game, um, I think the records speak for itself. They're kind of neck and neck now as far as wins and losses as well too. So that would be something exciting as well too. I think that's just the ultimate storyline. I also want to see Miami Lakers rematch as well too.
Yeah.
Bam just got that contract. Tyler Hero's gotten better. I'm sure Duncan Robinson's gotten better. Jimmy is more comfortable in his role as well too. So I definitely would love to see that matchup as well. And then I kind of want to throw one out there. I kind of want to see with Giannis being a two-time, MVP, reigning Defensive Player of the Year. I want to see him matched up against the Nets.
Interesting.
He has his Thunder buddy right there with Drew Holiday and him, and you got Kyrie and Kevin Durant right there. And the East is kind of since LeBron's left, it's always been up for grabs. So those are
Hmm.
the top tier players right there, aside from Jason Tatum and Jimmy Butler. Those are the players I'm looking at on who's going to carry this who's going to represent the East when it's all said and done. So I'm excited for those right there.
I
And
also
those
want to
and
see.
that was my take.
I also want to see the Bucks eat again. hmm
Yeah, because they're gonna definitely play a zone on them early. Like yeah, there's
They
gonna be
probably
a
won
lot
a
of
regular
good
season
games. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of good games. As far as young talent for me, I'm probably gonna watch a lot of Brandon Ingram playing, Jamal Murray playing, and definitely the Phoenix Suns right now as well too. So I'm gonna try to finesse a way to try to get league pass. Obviously, we got some sites that we can use and whatnot. But I like the
Yeah.
luxury of just clicking the joint, and, going to it as well. But
Hell
Devin
yeah.
Booker, I'm excited to see Devin Booker with Chris Paul for sure.
Hell yeah.
All
Hell yeah.
right, buddy. But that was
That's what it
episode
was.
97 of the Season Show. Do you have any last remarks you want to say?
Nah. Shout out to the family. Shout out Sutter. Shout out T. Shout out Austin. They held it down. But other than that, man, everybody stay safe. Holiday season. We don't really know. We still don't know the nature of this stuff a year later. So be safe, man. Keep your loved ones close. And other than that, if you have a goal you wanted to accomplish, everything is gonna align for you to accomplish it. Just keep on working for it. That's for everybody on either side on anything. That's what it is. So that's what it is for me. What about you, man?
That's it, man. Just build strong habits. Always constantly dream. Never be afraid to ask for help. And I just stress individuality. Be yourself. Don't try to subject yourself to any other person. Don't feel pressure to do anything you don't want to do. Just be yourself. That's the only way to live. And props to the NBA season coming back. I know it was a fast turnaround, but I'm so
Straight like that,
excited to always have some games on as well too. So
for sure.
hopefully we pray. We know that there's going to be an injury somewhere. There's always an injury, but hopefully, as far as like the top tier players, everyone's relatively healthy. If someone gets injured, just a knick-knack little ankle or something like that as well too. So hopefully they
Yeah.
stay healthy. Hopefully there's no X amount of OD positive cases with COVID, because like I said, it's not like the NFL where you can, you miss one game, it's for 1 week, it's one game a week. NBA, you're playing every other day, so with the East and West battling for positions for positions as well. I mean, good thing there is a playing game or seeding games and all that good stuff as well too. But you miss 10 games. That's if you miss 10 days, that equivalates to 3 to 5 games.
Yeah,
That may
it's
come
money.
back to haunt you as well too. So we'll see what happens with that. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to episode 97 of the Seezus Show. And make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at the Seezus Show, at TradeXXIV, at Sir Seezus. We out.
Peace.